Remembering the Queen of Tejano. It has now been 30 years since Selena Quintanilla Perez was shot and killed at a hotel in Corpus Christi. Now fans taking time to pay their respects and the legacy to remember what she left behind. Selena killed by the president of her fan club, Yolanda Saldivar. Now Saldivar continues to serve a life sentence after being denied parole just last week. Our Ashley Perez shares more details on the case.
Well, Fox SA traveled to Corpus Christi to interview one of the first officers on scene. He says over the past 30 years, he's heard many different versions of what happened that day. He's hoping to drown out the noise and focus on the truth in honor of Selena and her family.
I'll tell the side of the story that a lot of people didn't get to hear.
30 years passing.
I'll speak up for Selena and her family.
But even some of the darkest memories never fade.
But I was there. She talked to me for 3 hours. And what she's saying today is all a lie. It's all a lie.
John Houston was among the first officers to respond on March 31st, 1995. When you look at it, can you instantly go back to that moment?
You remember everything. As soon as you see something like that, you just kind of give you a flashback.
Coming face to face with Yolanda Saldivar at noon, just minutes after she shot and killed Selena at the Days Inn Motel in Corpus Christi. Where exactly were you when you got to the scene?
Well, we were like by the light pole. There on the first light pole off the road. To the left of it is where she was parked. That way, there was an 18-wheeler, and there was a white truck next to it, which is where myself and my partner stood.
We're told Yolanda was in a state of hysteria, threatening to kill herself while barricaded in a red pickup truck, a standoff unfolding in the parking lot.
Me on the front left of the white truck, and then my partner Joe came around the front trying to talk to her direct. That first picture is within the first 5 minutes of us getting there, because the officer's laying on the ground and the other one's in the back. And then I came around and was talking to her.
Unaware at the time of who she was or who she had shot, along with the accusations against her of embezzling money from Selena's fan club and clothing boutique. Their primary focus was calming her down.
At one point we almost had her out, and then she heard on the radio something that said like Selena has died, and she started freaking out.
But toward the end of the third hour, Houston says her statements were clear.
Her dad tried to break us up, tried to get us apart. I wasn't gonna let him do that. He made me do it, and all that kind of, we were like, wait a minute, okay, like, you really meant to shoot her.
Hostage negotiators taking over shortly after. And all of a sudden, Houston says Yolanda's account of what happened changed.
It went from the dad made me do it with me. I had to end it because he was interfering, he was getting in between us, to it was an accident for the next 6 hours.
Yolanda ultimately surrendering around 9 o'clock that night and taken into custody. Questions surrounding the shooting piling up.
She had a gun next to her head with the hammer pulled back, with her finger on the trigger for 7.5 hours. And it never went off. How's that possible? It only happened when Selena was standing in front of her.
Saldivar was originally indicted here in Nueces County. Her case was later transferred to Harris County in 1995, where she was tried and convicted. We spoke with former Nueces County DA Carlos Valdez, who was the lead prosecutor in the case.
She had reason to kill her. She was embezzling money from her, and they had found out about it, and they were going to prosecute her, and she was going to have to leave Selena's employ.
Yolanda was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after serving 30 years. Her recent request was denied. Valdez was not surprised.
Now lately she's been saying that she's a political prisoner and that Selena caused this by her aggressiveness toward her. So all that indicates she has not changed at all. There has been no rehabilitation.
Houston says Yolanda and her lives continue to be at the center of headlines and documentaries. 30 years later, what do you want the community to know?
There's nothing that supports any of the things she said. You can't lose sight of the fact of what happened that day. Not what happened a week before. And what happened that day.
Houston was there to hear Yolanda's first words following the shooting. Now he wants to make sure he shares his truth.
Somebody has to speak up for the victim, because they don't get to tell their side of the story, She didn't live long enough to even say a word, so it's my obligation to do it for her and any other victim.